Welcome to the Abundance Journey, where we flip the script on struggle. We turn stress into success. I'm here to help you partner with the divine and unlock practical strategies and spiritual alignment to create the abundant life your soul designed you to live. So let's open the gift of abundance right now. What if your greatest spiritual teacher didn't actually have a degree or even a voice like yours? Just four paws, deep eyes, and a heart full of unconditional love. Welcome back to the Abundance Journey, where abundance isn't something we chase. It's something we awaken by tuning into who we really are. I'm your host, Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador, and today's episode is going to surprise you in the most heart-opening way. Because, you see, sometimes the wisdom we most need doesn't come from a guru. It doesn't come from some spiritual guide. It comes from the quiet companionship of a soul that walks beside us on four legs. Our guest today is Alison Rand, a woman who has lived many lives in one, from an actress and a voiceover artist to a copywriter, a narrator, and a social worker. But perhaps her most profound transformation came not on a stage or even in a studio, but while walking alongside her beloved poodle, Dea. Alison's first memoir, A Place Called Grace, explored her journey of self-discovery while living in Italy, chasing artistic dreams and learning to listen to her own inner voice. Her second book takes an even more intimate turn, Walking Alison, a poodle's mostly true story of helping her human navigate life. It's told through the soulful eyes of Alison's dog, Dea, and reveals the magic that happens when we open our hearts to receive the message that our furry companions are always offering. Alison, I am super excited and delighted that you're here today. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Elaine. I couldn't be happier and more excited to be here. I am a new follower of your podcast, and I am absolutely entranced with it. It has helped me so much so far. I find it incredibly therapeutic and thoughtful and engaging, and I learn something every single time. It's been phenomenal for me.
Thank you.
The last one I listened to, I just want to give a shout out to this man. His name, I think, is Mike Baker. It's called The Optimist's Way. I thought it was just a fantastic conversation. And I learned from him as well and agree with so many things he said. And I thought it was just the most thoughtful, really deep podcast. Wonderful. So,
Alison, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I know that this is transformational, and I know that we connect our energy together and experience even more profound transformations. So there's two things I want to do to make sure we connect our energy, yours, mine, with the entire audience, as well as with the God of your understanding, what I call the divine. And I've got two techniques to do that. The first thing we're going to do is take 3 long, slow, deep breaths together. And as we breathe in through the nose, think the words, I am. And as we breathe out through the mouth, think the word consciousness. And I'll remind you when we get to that point. Then after the 3 deep breaths, I'm going to share an intention. I always point at my heart when I say intention. An intention is kind of like typing into a spiritual GPS. This is where we choose to go and how we choose to feel on the way. And by doing that and then holding it in silence for 78 seconds, it really opens us up to a higher vibration as you hold the image of that intention. So I found that 78 seconds can be a really long time. And there's 2 things I do that make it easier to hold that space. I take 2 or 3 words out of the intention that just feel uplifting and expansive. It's that higher vibration that I'm locking into as my new normal. And I'll repeat those 2 or 3 words over and over again to myself during the 78 seconds. And then I notice what happens with my body, because I'll feel a rush of heat or a cold snap, like in my ears or something. Just something weird happens with my body. And all that is a signal from the divine that they've locked into that higher vibration and they're ready to play. So, are we ready to play?
Yes, we are. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with the 3 deep breaths. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. Breathe in, I am. Breathe out, consciousness. In love and light, we are so happy and grateful that we open our hearts to the quiet wisdom of our 4-legged soulmates, releasing resistance, receiving love, and remembering that guidance often comes in the gentlest ways as we walk in connection, grace, and trust to co-create a life of deep presence, healing, and abundance. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done. We give thanks, and so it is. Wow, this is just such a wonderful, magical conversation. Alison, I am so glad that you are here and you brought this to the fore, because I'm blessed. I get to share my life with a 4-legged person as well. I have a kitty cat named Tickety Boo. And it was really interesting. I was holding the energy for this intention, and I remembered last night we open our house up at night and pull cool air in. And I open up a window, and I usually put Tickety Boo, my cat, in the window so she can look out the window. And she knows the routine. And so when I'm doing something that she really approves of, I get lots of purrs, and she's super happy and proud of me that I'm doing what she wants, right? And I just felt this purr coming through. It was really interesting holding the intention. What happened for you?
Well, my dog actually is on my lap. So I felt this amazing sense of serenity and togetherness with you and with Dea, my dog on my lap, and a just sense of calmness. It was a lovely break from real-time stress. It was wonderful. Yes.
It's
Yeah.
so true. And you know how often we don't even think 78 seconds is going to make much of a difference. And yet, when we focus on something like that, that is so uplifting and enriching and enjoyable, and it's amazing what a powerful reset it is in just 78 seconds. But, I want you to kind of step back a little bit and talk to us about this journey that you've been on, because you're really passionate about helping people understand the value of this profound relationship they can have with their beloved pet.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes. Well, this journey started, it's my second memoir. After I published my first memoir, A Place Called Grace, that you mentioned, I heard from a lot of people that they were curious what happened to me because it does not end in a fairy tale manner. It ended in a very bittersweet way. There's a lot of loss at the end, a lot of excitement living in Italy, but it was a very deep, a bittersweet book. And I knew I still had much more of a story to tell. And I did not have any idea how I would tell it from my own voice. It just didn't feel right from my own point of view. So as I thought and thought, I decided that Dea, my beloved, feisty, opinionated poodle, would be the narrator of my book, that it would all be from her point of view. And I'm just a character, albeit a very important character, but I'm a character in the story she tells. And I really love it because there's never been anything like it. There's been fantastic books where dogs and cats have been narrators of fiction books. And actually, one of the best ones I ever read, thinking about how to write in Dea's voice, was from a cat's point of view. But they were nonfiction. They were fiction, and mine is nonfiction. So no one had ever done this before, and I was a little worried, like, would anyone care? Would anyone be interested in a memoir from a poodle's point of view? Well, it turns out, yeah, people were really interested, and not just animal people, but people who like memoirs and deep stories, where people go through a lot of challenges, where so many people do. So she, in this book, it taught me so much as well. When I wrote from her point of view, I really had to find myself thinking about life differently from her vantage point all the time. Never what I thought she would think. I really had to dig deep into what she was thinking. There's a difference there. And my editor pushed me into that. And through her eyes, I learned a lot more about myself, how to make fun of myself, how to look at life's very difficult times with more resilience and with some laughter. Where if you write about difficult times, which we've all had, if you write it from your point of view, it might not be very funny, but from her point of view, it's not that it's ha-ha funny, but sometimes it is, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's amazing just having a slightly different perspective. There's a great Far Side cartoon that I loved. This thing came out years and years ago, and it shows a guy opening a can of dog food. And the dog's on the floor watching the guy open the can of dog food. And he's wiggling his tail, and he's got this speech bubble over his head that goes, "Wow, you're such a great hunter. And that opposable thumb, that's awesome. You can open the can."
Yes,
And I was
right.
like, yeah, that's probably what they are thinking. It's like, hey, it's a good thing you come in handy for something.
Exactly. Because I know Dea feels all the silliness that we humans go through to try to solve problems that she would solve a lot more easily, just by living in the moment and being present, right?
Yes. That is so profound. It really is, because we often, as human beings, we tend to make things more complicated than it really needs to be, right? I have learned that in truth, everything is love, and every single interaction is a request for love. You want to feel loved and appreciated, And you'd like the other people to feel loved and appreciated. And when someone is upset or angry or having a difficult time, it's often because they don't feel loved and they aren't being very loving to themselves. And so it's an opportunity for us to recognize that love is needed here, and we can be the love that is needed here, and we can notice the love that's already present here for us. There's always space for us, there's always room for us, and pets innately know this. They know there's a lap over there and I'm coming for it. So just assume the position, lady. I get that a lot.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
We can be so critical of one another, and needlessly so. And there needs to me, it sounds so trite, but more love and acceptance of others and their faults. And animals just give that to you naturally. They don't ask for anything. Except, well, certain things, but it's so minimal in comparison to what we demand of one another between humans. And they're just much nicer than people, most of the time.
They often are. Now, Alison, there's a question that I ask every single one of my guests, and I never get the same answer twice, which is awesome, because to me, there are limitless definitions. Given the kind of things that you're working on through your book and all that you experience with Dea and coming through some really profoundly difficult times with her guidance and assistance, how would you define abundance?
Well, it's such a great question, and it's so important because I'm a student in training, and I keep redefining it. But I have a master's in social work, and I'm not working in the field right now. But initially, my education from getting my master's really allowed me to more fully appreciate the abundance I do have in my life. When you compare yourself to what others have or don't have, and many populations that I worked with had very little, your whole perspective changes. So because of that education, I've definitely become more spiritual in my beliefs, but I've also suffered with some medical horrors, a terrible sensory neuritis that affects me even today, and 3 bouts of breast cancer. So having learned my definition of abundance, I feel that any day that the pain or the fear of the cancer's return is lessened is better and a terrific day. But most important, abundance for me is not about money, but it's about spending time with the few people that I cherish and my dog and appreciate every moment with them. I don't have family, so my close connections are intrinsic to my happiness. But I have to then now say, I believe, and my dog fosters abundance naturally in me in all new ways. Because of her, in my writing my memoir from her point of view, when I'm with her, I feel and see life through her eyes, and it becomes simpler. And all I know is when Dea is okay, I'm okay. But she's the perfect example of abundance, of the right amount. I shouldn't say right, of what I view the right amount of abundance is. Her needs are simple: to be loved and to give love, for me to throw a toy, for her to smell the grass, to be petted, to be near me, and for me and her, that is the purest of abundance there is. It's not asking.
Love that. I absolutely love that, because honestly, abundance, the technical definition, if you look it up, at dictionary.com, it'll say more than enough. That's technically the definition, more than enough of anything. And that we have more than enough air to breathe, that we have more than enough time together, that we can savor those moments together, that we can witness additional meaning and feel a deeper, richer connection just because we paid attention. You know, we are so busy and so distracted and so overwhelmed with all these other things going on that it's easy to lose sight of how blessed we are. And
Exactly.
when we're willing to really tune in and look for the blessings, I want to share a quick story with you because I had a bit of a wake up call myself. I was out running errands and I was driving my husband's truck, and it's kind of a big vehicle. And me and spatial awareness are distant acquaintances at best. And so I'm trying to back out of a parking place. I'm really, looking around. I'm being very careful. And out of the corner of my eye, I see somebody flying through this parking lot like it is a raceway or something. And I'm thinking, boy, that is not safe. And I'm slowly backing out. And I hear this honk behind me. Somebody honked their horn. And I didn't look, but it sure sounded like somebody was honking at me. And I immediately stopped and I cranked the wheel and I was able to get out of that parking place. But I started thinking all kinds of nasty things about that person driving that car. They weren't just dropped on their head as a child, they were dribbled repeatedly. And I was having fun with my righteous indignation, being all upset. And the divine got my attention. They're like, wait a minute, hold the phone. Every moment is designed to be a blessing for you. You are not turning that moment into a blessing. That story that you're telling yourself doesn't sound like a blessing. So we want you to deliberately make up a story where the moral of the story is having someone honk their horn at you turned out to be a blessing. Mm-hmm. And I had to think about it. I was like, well, maybe I was about to hit something. And if I had hit something, lots of extra money, lots of extra time, a real pain in the neck, well, not hitting something, yeah, that's a blessing. And then I realized, you know what? They had a totally different vantage point on my parking space. I didn't think I had enough room. I thought I still had to move back more. But as soon as they honked, I turned the wheel and I was able to get out. So maybe it was more like a thumbs up. It's okay. You got this kind of thing. Being a good neighbor was the kind of honk. And then the real message came through. All this time, I've been the bad guy. I've been blocking my own blessings because I was making up a story that wasn't turning things into a blessing. So I just went through this whole experience of a retinal detachment in my left eye. And it wasn't enough to do the surgery once. It tore again. So I got to do it twice in a row. Such fun. And I just had cataract surgery. And now I'm finally back and I can see again and I can wear makeup again. But the whole time, I hired angels. And I thanked the angels for not only giving me perfect physical sight, which I did eventually attain, but also perfect spiritual sight at the same time. And I knew that the only way I would meet the people that I met in the doctor's offices was by having this experience. And there was something about me being there and being present and holding the space that was really important. Because every time I went in for a procedure, I would hold the space, not just for me and for all of the people working on me, but for everyone in the building for the entire day. That everyone would have a perfect surgery, that everyone would be completely healed and well. And that is the true meaning behind everything. We are guided in ways we never could have anticipated. I'm so sorry to hear that you had breast cancer 3 freaking times. That's enough. You can stop now. Okay, we're done with that part. Yeah, but there was a reason for that goes far beyond your personal experience. And I'm so glad that you had Daya there with you to support you.
And interestingly enough, I found that taking the focus off of myself and that huge stress and putting it on her was the biggest godsend of all for me. We're very, very close. And her needs come first. And actually, in my book, I do write a chapter where I thought a problem, and the nurse called me late at night and suggested I come to the hospital tonight. And I said, well, I can't. I have my dog. I don't have anyone to watch her. Well, can't I come in the morning? I didn't think it was an emergency, but they were very attentive. She said, no, it's better that you come tonight. But I didn't. I came in the morning and I was okay. But in the book, as Dea is writing this in her voice, she said, I love my mama and I love her here with me all the time, but maybe she should have gone that night. I would have understood. So in a way, writing from her voice, I'm seeing 2 points of view, my own scared point of view, and then hers that is more rational, actually. Well, I want my mommy here, but maybe she should have gone. And so the book is very interesting that way. And I learned so much by writing from her voice. It's like looking at myself with a fine-tooth comb, like I'm looking in a mirror, because things that I do, as you mentioned earlier, from her vantage point, are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And, even dating in New York, everything was from her point of view. During COVID, I would try to go out on dates on certain sites. It was very isolating here in New York alone. It was just me and my dog. New York was the hot spot. And I would tell her about these not great dates, and everything from her perspective was like, oh, come on, mama, give it up, stop. What do you need this for? We don't need this. We just need each other. But but it made what might have been serious for me more comical.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
And we don't remember how healing humor is. And when we can be comfortable with just being a little silly, being a little ridiculous, being a little playful, all of a sudden, hey, if I'm comfortable doing that, that means you're comfortable doing it too. Because you see me being outrageous and ridiculous, and that means it's safe. It's a safe space, right? And that's part of what I love about pets. When you throw a ball, when you've got a kitty toy, trust me, they are all over that, and it's total focus.
Exactly.
They're really in the zone. And it just reminds you what's important here: play and connecting with each other, playing together. In fact, I've decided I'm not working anymore. The word work always makes me feel like a weight on my shoulders. It feels heavy. It feels onerous. It feels difficult. It feels like I have to do it all myself. And it's not a lot of fun. I put a lot more pressure on myself. Now, instead of working, I play at everything, including my so-called work. I play at my work because then it's fun and I get to play with other people and it's not so serious. It's much more lighthearted. I can explore more. And I love the way you leverage that through the book, getting that vantage point, that different perspective coming from Dea's experience. It really opens you to receive what's present in the moment in a totally different way.
Oh, but not just between me and Dea. She got me out into the world. That's what dogs do. They need to go out, and she would get me out whether I wanted to or not. And through that, I met so many new connections. Not just I met strangers where she would give them a knee hug and it would make their day. And that was such a joy for me. This little thing, which was a big thing for someone else, the love that they needed, my dog was able to give them. And that's what we need more of. And this was during COVID. She would get me out of the house. I met my neighbors in a whole new way. I would see them every day, but because of Dea, we became friends. And she would bring people together. And for me, who lives alone, I'm divorced in New York City, that's just intrinsic because it's a hard city sometimes. It can be lonely and isolating. And dogs, I think, help you with your mental health more than anything else, living in a city or any place in the country too.
I love that. There's so many values of sharing your life with someone, like a pet, a dog, a cat, a bird, a lizard. I mean, anything that you feel a connection to, it's magnificent, the shift and the experience that you have. And you have more of a connection with other people too, because that's the go-between, right? That's the goodies inside the sandwich of the people. Now, Alison, you personally experienced a really profound transformation as you went through writing this book. Could you tell us a little bit about what shifted inside you and how we can experience that same sort of transformation?
I think mostly writing this book, it was cathartic for sure, like my first book, but this was even more special to me because of my bond with my dog. And I really learned to look at my life very differently. I feel like I transitioned. It was a real transformation because she helped, as I said, she helped me venture out and become more outward in life. Because it's easy, as a writer, as an author, to just stay at home and you're a bit isolated as well. And I made so many more loving connections, as I just said, just by walking her. But it also made me more flexible with my attitudes about what is important and much less self-involved. Because if you have cats are a little easier, I think. If you have a dog, really their needs do come first. And you have to take care of them. You can't just let it go. So much less self-involved. And that's not just the whole story. The story is also my story. But I also realized through her help, what is working in my life and what is not working. And
love that. That was big. That's why, sorry, that's why I pointed my finger at you. I'm like, oh, that is so good. Sorry, I'm writing that down. Yeah. I realized what is truly important in my life.
But what is important, but what is working and what is not working. And I used to focus on so much negativity and things that weren't working. And with her, for whatever reason, I try to focus on the things that are working and build on that. And it leaves me more open to new ideas and has increased my own confidence, for sure. Also, a big deal, I used to be, and not that I'm not afraid of death, but I'm a less afraid person of death now because I don't think dogs are not afraid of it. They live in the moment. They live in the present. They accept what is. This is what it is. And I write about death in my book because of a lot of my family has died and through her eyes. And so it also helped me deal with fears of death as well. She loves her life to the limits, but I don't believe most animals fear death the way humans can.
No,
so,
no, they don't. Wow, so this is such a magical conversation, Alison, in so many different ways. And, I feel like I have a really profound bond with my cat, Tickety Boo. And obviously you have a very profound bond with your puppy dog, Dea. How can we use this as an example to open our hearts and be more present in our lives? Is there a little tip or tidbit that you want to share that we can apply for ourselves?
Well, I think owning a dog or a cat is an incredible help in one's life, no matter what. I mentioned the loneliness epidemic, or I should mention that because that's a very big deal. And not only can animals help that, but through Dea and my relationship, I've learned more about self-love, which might sound strange, and it's not being conceited, but I had a problem with that, always knocking myself down, thinking in negative ways, not so long ago. But with her help and getting me out there and meeting new people and enjoying life more, I have learned to value my very difficult life experiences. And some of them have been very, very trying. Not only my illness, but I grew up with a dysfunctional family and feelings of abandonment from my father. They were divorced when I was very young, and my sister and brother moved out, so I was left with my mother. We're all separated. So I naturally have had fears of abandonment. And so by writing this book as well through her eyes, I've learned to be able to let go of the fear of letting go of a toxic relationship or someone that wasn't helpful to me anymore. And I do write about that in this book. There was a character named Ted, not his real name, who I fell in love with, but it didn't work out. And normally it would be very hard for me to let the relationship go, but I'm learning to love yourself with her help, getting me out there, has fostered that ability for me to be stronger, to let go of things that are not helping me. And by not helping me, I can't help others as well. If you're not a happy person and don't see things clearly, you can't really be there for someone else, which I also want to do for my friends.
Yeah, I love what you're saying here because it is really profound when you stop saturating yourself in the stuff that brings you down and you start focusing on the things that lift you up. I mean, I know it's a little silly, but every night right before bed, I watch silly animal videos. Why? Because it makes me laugh and it makes me smile. All the goofy things they get up to. And then when I go to sleep, I actually have really good dreams because of these silly animal antics. We can't underestimate the value that animals have in our lives. Even if you don't have a pet, look out the window and listen to the bird song. Listen to what they're saying. There's so much around us. And we're also discovering that plants have language too. Fascinating. Can't say I speak plant language. I'm getting closer on kitty language, but I'm still a little iffy. Okay. Well, this has been such an incredible conversation. Alison, this conversation is fabulous. And I'm so grateful to you. You offered an amazing free gift. Could you tell us a bit about it?
Oh, I just offered a link to the first few chapters of my book. So if anyone is interested in reading about, or Daya's voice, talking about our lives, then they can read that there. So
that's wonderful. That's really awesome. Now, Alison, one of the things we always do here at the Abundance Journey, we love to turn the tables on our guests because we know that when we give is when we truly receive the most. So what's something that we can do to support you?
Oh, that's just so lovely. That really is. Well, I would just be thrilled if anyone is interested in reading my book on Amazon, or I've actually done the audiobook as well. So I'm Daya's voice as well. So I'd be just thrilled to know what people thought, and if they were interested in reading my story, which is very unique, to write a small review, I'd be thrilled. Or not even that, if they want to go on my website and there's a contact form there, and just let me know what they thought of this interview, or something about their own dog, then we could have a conversation and, take it from there.
They do connect us, right? We are more connected than we realize. And our pets certainly know how connected we are. Oh man, Alison, what a treat. This has been such a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. You've left me with a bit of a dilemma because through our conversation, I took a bunch of notes the whole time you were talking, not just that time when I was like, oh, but the whole time. You had so many gems that you shared with us today. I'm going to be hard pressed to pick just one for the Activate Abundance segment that's coming up next. But thank you for that dilemma.
That's nice. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Stick around. We're going to activate abundance in just a moment. Wow, that was really powerful. But before we dive in to Activate Abundance, I would love your support. Please share this episode, leave a comment, and subscribe so we can spread abundance far and wide. And if you're ready to go deeper, I'd be honored to be your coach through the Inner Power Protocol, helping you move from spiritual overwhelm to embodied power so you live the life your soul designed you to be. Let's make this your moment. Wow. Don't you love Alison? I mean, she's so heart-centered. She's so deeply caring. She's such a charming person and very open and vulnerable. She's willing to share the fact that life has not been exactly perfect for her. She's had a number of challenges. I mean, come on, 3 bouts of breast cancer? That's no fun. And I'm very, number one, grateful to Alison for sharing this amazing perspective. Because when she's able to look at her own life and her own experiences through Dea, her puppy dog's eyes, all of a sudden she gets a whole new perspective on life. And I never really thought to do that before. And it's so easy to get trapped in our own little minds, our own little way of thinking about things, of relating to the world. Being able to relate and get a new perspective, that's really powerful. So I'm super grateful to Alison for being here. Step 2 is to acknowledge something you heard that was an aha for you. And I loved everything she had to say, but she made a really, really powerful point when she said, our pets know how to be fully present in the moment. They're accepting this is just what's happening. They might not like it. She's having a thunderstorm right now, and her dog really isn't grooving on the thunder, not happy at all, but she's in the moment, right? She's not all fixated on the future and what could happen. She's not all stressed about the past and what did happen. She's just in the moment right now. And all it takes is a hug. All it takes is that connection. All it takes is a moment of awareness. Being present is incredibly powerful. And we can model our pets in how present we can be. That's what I want to acknowledge with this conversation with Alison. Our pets remind us to be present in this moment right now. Step 3, appreciate the difference it can make in your life when you do that present thing. All of a sudden, when I notice myself stressing, I can ask myself a few really important questions. Am I focused on what's happening in this moment? If not, why? Why am I distracting myself with pretending what could happen in the future or obsessing over what happened in the past? I can be present right now. And I can think the way my cat thinks, right? She's after snuggles. She's after pets. She's after food. She loves acknowledgement and praise. And as long as I'm doing those 4 things, she's a happy camper all the way. And guess what? When I receive those things, I'm a happy camper too. And I don't have to wait for somebody else to give that to me. In this moment, instead of stressing about something else, I can be present for myself. What a concept. That's a gift you can give yourself. And I'm so grateful to Alison that she brought that to us today. Step 4, we're going to activate this abundance. Now, this is where we take a concept of being present and we turn it into tangible physical reality. Okay. I found 3 ways to do this. The first way is schedule time to get it done. Now, I count journaling and meditation and working out, that kind of stuff all comes under schedule time to get it done. Because if you don't, you aren't going to do it. Are you? Yeah, me either. So journaling is really important to me because there's all this stuff going on through my head. And when I write it down, all of a sudden I can be objective and I can be present so that I notice what's going on for me. And I can step back and recognize that my cat just wants a connection, just wants a cuddle, just wants acknowledgement. And I can do that for me. I can't when I can't see it. When I can see it, because I wrote it down, I can do it. Lots of energy coming up. The second way to activate abundance is with a physical trigger where you cross your fingers, you tug on your earlobe. As a physical reminder, I choose to be present in this moment. Now, that really helps when you're about to have maybe a challenging conversation with a family member who can sometimes push all your buttons and they know just which ones to push. Well, instead of going there and getting all worked up over nothing, you can be present right now and just feel a sense of connection and love. And remember that this is all about you being loving to yourself and kind to yourself and recognizing that you are bringing love to this situation. And maybe someone else is very insecure and very concerned about the kind of conversation they're going to have with you. They're busy judging themselves. And what if you can be that supportive, loving, delightful, safe space, not just for you, but for them too at the same time? It's a twofer, right? It's great. And all it takes is that little physical trigger, crossing your fingers, tugging on your earlobe, to remind yourself, I get to be fully present right now, just like my cat, just like my dog. I can embrace that in this moment and see what happens. The third way to activate abundance is to work with what I call an abundance buddy. Most people call them accountability buddies, but hey, I'm all about abundance. So, work with me here. So this is somebody who loves you, who gets you, who understands where you're coming from. And you say, look, I know I tend to drift off into the future, worrying about what's coming, or I obsess over what happened in the past, and I truly choose to be present. I'm adopting what Alison's dog, Dea, practices every day. I choose to be present and accepting of this moment right now and notice the love that is present in this moment. And if you see me drifting off of that, because, old habits die hard, point it out to me, let me know, because I'm really committed to being present now. And I appreciate that. All right, step 1, gratitude. Step 2, acknowledge something that was an aha for you. Step 3, appreciate the difference it can make in your life. Step 4, activate it, make it real. Step 5, celebrate your progress. Isn't this an incredible life we're living? It's constantly unfolding with new blessings, new insights, new possibilities, new opportunities. Love is everywhere. Love is all that is. And we have a new opportunity to welcome love in a whole new way by seeing life the way our pets do, by experiencing love in every moment. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you next time for the Abundance Journey. Thank you for joining me for the Abundance Journey. If today's episode inspired you, I would love to hear from you. Go to theabundancejourney.com/contact and click on the Share My Thoughts button to tell me what you loved or what you learned from today's episode. And when you do, you'll receive the Spiritual Alignment and Conscious Action Jumpstart as my free gift. Remember, abundance shared is abundance amplified, and it always reflects back to you. So be sure to share the Abundance Journey show with your friends. In fact, there are lots of great things you can share in today's show notes, like the free gift link, key insights, quotable comments, step-by-step processes, and lots more. The show notes link is in the episode description. Until next time, I'm Elaine Starling, the Abundance Ambassador, reminding you that every moment is a chance to create the abundant life your soul designed you to live.